Hi, I watched Between Us, and here's my review. The drama focuses on the secondary couple of Until We Meet Again and tells the story of Win and Tim, two young men both part of the swimming club. Unfortunately, if I compare to its predecessor, Until We Meet Again, this drama, quality-wise and on the technical side, is much lower. I don't know exactly why it is. I guess they didn't have that much of a budget for some reason. I don't know really what the reason is, but the director and screenwriter is the same person who did the first one, Until We Meet Again, so there is no reason that the quality would be lower. Because of that, because first the quality, I want to say the color palette is very bright compared to Until We Meet Again. One could say, and it's actually very true, that the brightness goes with the tone of the drama, like it does in Until We Meet Again. However, I feel like it should match the tone of Until We Meet Again a bit more, which is not the case. It's too bright, and even maybe for a choice, a stylistic choice, I don't know. But a lot of scenes in Until We Meet Again happen at night or at the end of the day. In this one, it's almost never the case, which on itself isn't very much a problem at all, right? A scene can happen whenever it wants to happen. But because of this, it feels like it's not really a continuation or part of the same world as Until We Meet Again. And also, I have to say that the camera sometimes feels like it doesn't really know what it's doing. It's filmed in a strange way. And because of that, I feel like the acting is impacted. Watching the drama, sometimes I was wondering if the acting wasn't that great, or if it was just because the camera was not shooting things very much how it was supposed to shoot things. I'm probably making no sense at all right now. Even in my own language, I don't really know how to explain this. But there are ways to shoot, to film scenes, and I feel like in this drama, it's not done that well. Which again, I don't understand why, because it's the same director and same scriptwriter, it's the same person in charge, so I really don't understand why. Same problem goes with the OST, unfortunately. I'm glad they used all the OST, and if not all, most of the OST they used in Until We Meet Again. It is very nice to have the same OST because it allows you to go back into this world. However, most of the time the OST is used in a strange way where it's very choppy. Sometimes the music just cuts very abruptly for a transition in the drama, but it's too abrupt. And so it does that a lot in this drama, which I don't recall doing it in Until We Meet Again. I don't recall having this problem at all. Concerning the story on itself, it's very light. I have nothing against light drama. I enjoy them a lot. I think I also have a preference for them in the first place. It depends what the theme of a darker drama is. But ultimately, I do like lighter dramas. However, this lighter tone, like I just said, doesn't really fit with the main story of Until We Meet Again. I think it's not personally too much of a big problem. Personally, because we have two different characters who don't have the same story at all. So, of course, they could have a lighter tone to their own story. However, I understand how it could be a disappointment or a problem to some other people. However, I do like the efforts they made to connect the two stories. Ultimately, like I said in my review of Until We Meet Again, you don't have to have seen Until We Meet Again to completely understand Between Us. It works just fine on its own. However, when you pay very much attention to it, and since I went back to watch Until We Meet Again right after I finished Between Us, I can say that I for sure see how they try to make an effort to connect the two stories, and I want to say props to them, even though in the end you can watch one without the other. Staying a bit on that, I am glad we see Palm and Dean again. I was not really thinking about it before this drama came out, but I'm actually very glad we see them again. I know I read some comments that some people thought that for why they are in the drama, for their purpose, they should maybe not have put them in there in the first place. But to connect the two stories, it works very well, because most of the connections are done through them. Some scenes are even almost identical. They recreated some scenes from Until We Meet Again to really make the connection between us. So sometimes really props to them. But personally, I very much enjoyed their presence. I really liked seeing them again, even if it's not much. It was actually nice to see them on the side, not as main characters. However, I can't say the same thing for every side character we have on this drama. We get a lot of the characters we had in the first story, which I think is very nice to link everything and the continuity of things. It's very great. However, I have to admit that I had almost no interest in any other side couple at all. That is at least until the end. Because at the end, I started getting interested a bit in everyone, in every couple. But throughout the drama, I really had no interest in them, and I thought they were too many. We have too many side couples in this story, in my opinion. In this spoil part, I don't have much to say, but I want to be able to talk about it freely without having to pay attention to what I say and making a mistake like I always almost do at the end of my videos. So, what I want to talk about is especially how Win and Tim start together as a couple. It's not a way I really like. If you've watched some of my videos, maybe you've seen me talking about it before. I don't really like couples starting out by just being F-buddies. It's not really something that appeals to me at all. However, I don't want to talk about that. What I want to talk about is that watching it, I really couldn't remember them starting this way in the main drama at all. And so I was very confused for a while. However, after rewatching Until We Meet Again, I was able to see that honestly, we don't see them that much in Until We Meet Again. And so it's very open to interpretation of what happens between the two of them. And having watched it again, I can tell that how it is done in Between Us can 100% work with what we have in Until We Meet Again for them. And so while I don't really like it because it's not something that I fancy very much, it still makes sense and it still works very well with the main story. Something that I find a bit disappointing, but ultimately doesn't bother me that much, is that I think we should have seen maybe the trauma of Tim a lot more and a lot earlier in the drama, because you can sense that they want to make something deep, something touching. They don't want to make the same thing as Until We Meet Again, but they want to have something deep and something to think about. They want one of our characters to have a deep trauma. And it's really a deep trauma. I mean, I think anyone would be traumatized by such an experience. So I think the trauma is really well found and very well chosen. However, I think the execution is not done that well, unfortunately. I think it could have started earlier in the drama. Maybe we should have seen Tim more impacted by it all throughout the drama. Which isn't the case and unfortunately comes a bit packed all together towards the end and resolved pretty quickly as well in the end. Ultimately, it doesn't bother me that much because I can clearly tell that they wanted this drama to be lighter. Probably the author meant to have it lighter as well. I don't know, I haven't read the novel. But since I can see that it was going to be lighter, I don't really have much of a problem. It's just maybe just a missed opportunity, and it makes me wonder how it could have been if it had been done more since the beginning and in a more intense way as well. And that's about it for Between Us. Overall, I spent a good time in front of the drama because I know this is characters I really wanted to see again. It's two actors that I really enjoyed seeing the first time in Until We Meet Again. I haven't watched Evenson yet because I read the comments, which I guess I shouldn't have, and yeah, because of that I'm not really thrilled. I'm not very excited to watch it because everyone seems on the same page about Evenson. So I haven't watched it, but maybe one day I will get to watch it. Maybe one day. So this is a couple I really enjoy a lot. So overall, I spent a good time, but it's true that since I've been waiting for this drama for so long, I feel a bit disappointed still deep inside of me because it turns out to be a bit flat, both on the story side and the technical side. It falls short of what I think it could have been, especially if you compare it to Until We Meet Again, because Until We Meet Again is has such a high quality in everything that I can't help wonder how Between Us would have turned out if it had the same quality of Until We Meet Again. If you've seen Between Us but you haven't watched Until We Meet Again, I suggest you to watch Until We Meet Again. I don't want to change your opinion on Between Us. I know it was well received by a lot of people, just like it was not well received at all for the other half of people. And I don't want to change opinions or things like that. But if you haven't watched Until We Meet Again, I suggest you give it a try, at least to see where this couple came from and what maybe it could have been if, I don't know, things were different, if things had been done a bit differently. But ultimately, I can understand why some people would like it, and I did myself, I enjoyed it. However, if I'm honest with myself, if I change both actors, if I take complete random actors that I don't know, would I be interested in this story? I think I would not, because I think it's a bit flat, nothing much happens. And while it's not something that bothers me to some degree, because I like no dramas, I still like things to happen, which is not really the case in this drama. It's really flat, nothing much happens. But since I like this couple, I like these two actors, I still spent a good time. I think maybe for myself, for me, I think I'm going to call this kind of a guilty pleasure, if I can say. But I can also see the appeal for people, so yeah. If you haven't watched Until We Meet Again, but you've seen Between Us, try Until We Meet Again. You're not going to be disappointed. It's awesome. If you haven't watched Between Us, still give it a chance. You never know, maybe you're going to like it. But if you've seen Until We Meet Again and absolutely adored it, there is a chance you're going to be a bit disappointed with the outcome of this one, because it's not on the same level as Until We Meet Again at all, unfortunately. And if you've watched Between Us, don't hesitate to tell me your own thoughts about it. Did you like it? Did you end up disappointed because of Until We Meet Again? Or even without taking Until We Meet Again into consideration, you could be disappointed still just because. So yeah, don't hesitate to tell me all about it in the comments. And with this, I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!